Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. Take It from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we go to Bangalore, India. We will talk to Mrs. India. We want to hear why it is Mrs. India and not Miss India. Welcome, Sujatha. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, Suzanne, how are you doing? It's lovely seeing you here, and thank you so much for having me on this podcast. My name is Sujatha Sharma. I live in Bangalore with my family. I have two grown-up children. I have a day job, and now I have the title of Mrs. India. I'm looking forward to having this interaction with you and sharing my experience and what have been my learning, my takeaways, and some life-altering changes that have proceeded while I contested for this title. It's been quite a journey.
We're very curious because in your biography it says you're an Ashtanga Yoga practitioner, dancer, and you're also an occasional hiker. Tell us where everything started. And you and I, we met in person actually in 2012. We concluded.
Yes.
Now it's 2023. Tell us a little bit what has happened in between and moving forward then.
I've always been passionate about taking care of myself. It started somewhere in childhood. I remember sitting at this dining table with my family, and my mother pokes at my arm and she said, "Girl, you're gaining weight. You have to do something about it." Well, today people would say it's body shaming, but my mother meant in good sense, saying that you're gaining weight. I was a teenager then. I remember next morning I go up, and this was the time when we didn't have gyms, or there was no aerobics, there was no Pilates, there was, maybe we thought about yoga, but freestyle exercise was what we all, either it was running or freestyle exercises. I'm talking about maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I remember going up to our terrace. It was an open terrace, and I started doing free exercise. I don't think I looked back from there because it became a very integral part of my growing up, that taking care of yourself is the most important thing. It was a small nudge or a taunt that my mother gave. And usually mothers don't do it. They always like to see their children chubby and nice. So it's just a little taunt that my mother made that morning. I never looked back. Whether I was in college, I was an athlete, whether I went to later during my young adulthood, my marriage, 2 childbirths, and even today, my form of exercise has just evolved. Today, I find Ashtanga practice, which is a little challenging, but it's very grounding. That's how, from freestyle, I'm not a big fan of gymming. I like this form of practice, which is very holistic, works from you inside out. My passion for traveling started 7, 8 years ago. One fine morning, I woke up and I joined a group of dancers who were going to Italy. And I said, I want to go with them. I want to see what the world is outside of this country. And again, I didn't look back. I made it a point every year, twice a year to every other month today, that I'd like to travel. I like to explore. I believe solo traveling, you grow as an individual. You learn to deal with things. You learn to study people. You learn to do a lot of things with solo traveling. Most importantly, with solo traveling, you learn to be comfortable in your own company, which is the hardest thing to do.
Oh, yes.
For me, that is the biggest takeaway from solo travel. I hear people saying, how can you travel alone? I said, you're not traveling alone. You're traveling with yourself. Have you ever traveled with yourself? Try solo traveling. Learn to sit at the cafe and have your own coffee. Learn to check into a hotel and figure out what to do after sundown, because there's nothing to do. That's when you have your own company. Learn to meet new people. You don't get that opportunity when you travel with your family, because family and friends it's only a vacation with change of location. You end up doing the same thing, but in a different location.
I've traveled
You
quite a
know,
bit. And it's actually people come to you, talk to you. When you travel with somebody,
you don't even look, which is also good because it gives you time to spend with your friends and family. But
yeah.
you also need to you also need to put in traveling on your own. That's the best thing that you can give yourself as a person, as an individual. Especially when you are, I wouldn't want to be biased saying a man or a woman, but especially when you're a woman, it's a different dynamics altogether. We get over our innate fears. There are a lot of innate fears. We get over it. That is about traveling. It was not easy, but then I started learning to enjoy my own company and doing things on my own, which I bring back to whatever work that I do. Dance has been a part of my life, though it is not the bigger part of my life. It helps me express myself. It helps me express myself in words. It helps me express myself in gesture. It actually helped me in my pageant. It actually helped when I went for the Mrs. India contest. I realized how graceful dance can make you. It's just the expression of love. It's the expression of yourself. The practice of Ashtanga, the solo traveling, and dance were the key ingredients of winning that pageant. I give that credit to not giving up any of these in the hustle and bustle and chaos of life and all these years, and more intently than I did in the last 7, 8 years.
What is then Mrs. India? How do you prepare and how do you gain that title? How many competitors do you have there?
There is the ones who are not married, they are young, and there is usually an age limit for participating in that title. It happens earlier in your life. And I think it is 18 to 25 years or something like that. I don't remember what the Miss India age limit is, but Mrs. India doesn't have an age limit. You can participate the moment you get married. The oldest contestant that was in our pageant was 67 years old, and man, was she amazing. She was 67. The energy that she got was the energy of all the 50 participants that were there. She had amazing energy. She was a doctor, a PhD holder. It's basically to celebrate the women who are married but are able to dream and want to dazzle in their life and hold their own identity, irrespective of the responsibilities that they have as a mother, as a wife, as a mother-in-law, as a sister-in-law. Moment from Miss to Mrs., your responsibility becomes multifold. You're no more single. You marry into a family, especially in India, we marry into a family. We don't marry a man, we marry a family. With that comes multiple responsibilities, and somewhere we start giving up on things. We stopped taking care of, I wouldn't say we stopped taking care of our interests. We put our interests in a back burner because we have many things to do and we have only that much time. I guess Mrs. India is to celebrate women who have lived their life, who want to hold their identity, but also love to take care of their family, love to take care of their interests. They try to strike that fine balance. That's what they want to celebrate, the womanhood of a married woman. The beauty is, it's not limited. The pageant that I went to, it had even single and divorced women, which means it's okay. You don't have to be married to participate. Once you're a Mrs., you're always a Mrs. That was really nice. I thought it was a great platform to celebrate women and give wings to their dreams and aspirations.
What did you have to do in order to win?
I didn't have to do anything different, but the organizers, this is the Diva pageants, organizers had the grooming session before we went to the pageant. But there were things that pretty challenged me. One, the fact that I was working, I did a lot of public speaking, I was fit, I traveled, I danced, were key ingredients, which I did as part of life, not saying, oh, I have to prepare for this pageant. It was not in my vision board. It was not in my wish list. It was not in my bucket list. It was a chanced thing that happened where a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, just called me one fine day and said, Sujatha, you have to participate in this. And I said, why do you want me to? He said, you have everything that needs you, and it'll take you to a different level. Please participate. And then, long story short, I registered, I participated, I got shortlisted to be the finalist. But the real challenge started after that, when a manifesto of things that you had to do came, and I realized I was not comfortable doing a lot of things.
Like what?
So some of these things were, I'm very happy with still photography, but I get a little uncomfortable when it is a video recording or a reel or creating a reel for their branded partners. For me, that was out of my comfort. I'm okay to stand up on an open stage and talk to people. I'm okay to do a video call. But one moment you say, let's do a video because that's going to go public, I get a little nervous. That I realized I was very nervous. I'm still nervous to do it. The other one is making reels. I have, with all due respect for people, for content creators who do this day in and day out, people like you, Suzanne, who do these podcasts, it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. The creativity of it, the recording of it, the editing of it, the publishing of it, the promotion of it. Oh my God, that is a task. That is a job. It requires a new skill. That I was not comfortable. The third I was not comfortable was with the part of the task list was to support a charity. I was not comfortable. I've always been a giver. But when it came to taking, I was hesitant. I had to collect funds to support their choice of a social organization. I was not comfortable asking people to contribute funds. So then I realized, oh my God, I've always been a giver. I've not been a taker. I've always been the one who drives things. I've not been the one who takes things. I realized that I always had to strike that balance of being the masculine energy and the feminine energy. We hear about it, a lot of it, the driver and the receiver. And I realized I was not comfortable doing it. I had to get out of my comfort zone. Even today, it's always challenging your comfort zone to get to the next level. What does it take? It's a culmination of things that you do in life. I believe that whatever you've done in life, there will be a stage where it will ask you to redeem. And and participating in Mrs. India was like in redemption of what you've done in life, what you believe in life, what passions you followed in life, what interests you followed in life, despite every other thing that you do. What does it take? Just believe that what you're doing will somewhere stand you in good stead.
What do your children say?
My children, the most excited was my daughter. They were there. They were cheering. They were excited. My daughter says, Mama, you have a huge fangirl following now. My friends look up to you and they follow you. You've been an inspiration to many of my friends. Hope I am, because somewhere we don't want to give up on who we are and what we do. I like that influencing part of it. I like the influencing part of it. And the women and the girls respond more. The girls respond to it better than the guys. I realize that because they believe that this is a possibility. We can do it. We should do it. We should continue to do what we believe in, right? What we believe in. I guess my biggest fan and the one who I've been able to influence is my own daughter. She has aspirations now to say, I will contest next year, or I'll contest a year or two later in Miss India. It's nice to be a role model. I think it's nice to be a role model for them. And our fabric of the way women are in India is very different from the way it is in the westernized world. It's very, very different. We give up one for the other. But this has given hopes to many that you can strike a balance between the two. You don't have to give up one for the other. All it needs is a good ecosystem. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of my husband, without the support of my family. without the support of my friends, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would be very naive to say, this is what I've gone out and done all by my own. No, I had the ecosystem. I had friends who stepped in to help me design my wardrobe, to help me with my styling, to help me with my shopping, to help me be my worst critic and best friend. While I walk, they would just pop me a question and say, answer this, because when you're on that stage, when a question is popped to you, you have just 30 seconds to respond, to think and respond. You need to be really quick. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been able to do this without a very good support system. And that's what I want to talk, that what you see in the front, there is a huge machinery behind it, or there is a support system behind it. You will not be able to do that without that support system. It is for you to build that support system. That influence that I want to have is you can have the best of both worlds, but takes planning, to be organized, to be disciplined, and to manage your time and life respectively. That was the response, that it is possible. I'm not going to settle for anybody less than a crown in my family now as a job.
I love that. Okay, so everybody in your family will have a crown. What?
I'm not going to. You have a benchmark to meet now. You have a benchmark to meet. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to meeting you in person soon and doing more work with you.
Wow, what a conversation with Mrs. India. When do you ever get to meet Mrs. India? Take it from the Iron Woman. You have episodes every Monday. Don't miss out. You can learn from others. You can grow with others. You can send questions if you have. Send them to me. Take it from the Iron Woman. We also have the book, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Download it or get it in your local bookstore. Thank you for your support.